And it was, you can't do that. I mean, you can't lock something out and then just change it and then start it back up. And
that's not the criteria. When to lock it out is what we want to get out of today, so you can back it up that you're working on it without it locked out. Shutting it off is mandatory. You don't want it to unexpectedly restart. You don't want to work on it while it's moving, and you don't want to work on it where you can bump the start button and it starts back up. So shutting it off, sometimes just unplugging the drive power, sometimes it's just turning off the switch next to you. Sometimes it's just having the control panel right in front of you, so nobody else could turn that on. So as long as you have exclusive control, so there's no possibility of unexpected re-energization. That's the key words you want to remember. Unexpected re-energization. As long as you can eliminate that, you've eliminated the component requiring the lockout.
So that was our biggest challenge in there, is they wanted us to lock these things out, and it wasn't, you couldn't do it. You know what I mean? There was just no way. But now that I see why we don't have to do it now, it's because we have.
I want to say it's okay to work on it without locking it out, generally, like a blanket statement, because then you're going to get people doing just what they've always done, working on it when they really should have locked it out. If you're doing heavy maintenance on that machine, or where you shut it off to change and then you left it partially put together and left, you have to lock it out now. So that's why we really want to get the intent of the regulation down today, so you can make those judgment calls in the field. What do you think your customers' biggest hurdles are for lockout?
Well, it really depends on the customer. I guess some don't even have procedures in place that I've gone to visit.
Do you think that's a willful act, or do you think they're just not knowledgeable on it?
No, I think they're getting away with something.
Yeah, they got OSHA audited and didn't get fined, so they're compliant.
Yeah.
There's some ignorance there whether they have to have it, but a lot of people know they have to have one, and they either
Most people do.
Yeah, they don't want to spend the money, they don't want to spend the time trying to create a procedure or a program.
Right.
It really depends
They don't know
on
where
the
to
size
start.
of the facility too. Obviously,
That's a good point too.
procedures.
What we've seen is if you have 100 procedures in your facility, it could take a year to year and a half to install in-house. And so when they think of that kind of burden rate, how much internal resources that would take, they don't even know where to start. You can't even phase that in. Like, we're already overstretched. You're on, you just had to let 20 people go. You're already thin. Now you have to get some additional huge program in place that requires a lot of work. So that's why we try to educate. No matter what, you need it, and these are the best ways to get it. So you can do it in-house or you can outsource it. But bottom line is you need it no matter what.
When you were talking about the industry injuries, and you were talking about the 30-year employees that sustain a good many of the injuries, even in our railroad industry,
Is that right?
30% of our injuries are from employees that have 30 years or more experience.
Yeah, I was with the company. Impressive.
I mean, it's probably an industry standard almost, because they get into the complacency. They think they know all the answers. They know they can work safely, and oftentimes that complacency is what gets them injured.
Still in our company, I think the most accidents actually happens with people less than 1 year experience. New people.
And the other side to that is, in the railroad industry, in the CSS, 50% of our industries occur from employees with 2 to 10 years of service. Really, 50% there, 30% on the other end. So you only got, 30%, 20% in the middle. The people that are in the middle are the ones that work the safest.
Contractors, when they come in to work on our equipment and they need to do Lockout-Tagout,
I would always have follow your advice. You know it's right. They follow the site.
Well, we were talking
Follow
about,
ours unless yours is more safe,
Right.
more stringent.
right.
So you're thinking even our employees should go around and make sure the right disconnects are thrown to that level, right, for the contractor? Okay, well, we give them
They just need to comply. Yeah, you show them the procedure and make them do it, and if they don't, your employees should report to you that they're not doing it, and then the contractor gets the boot. I don't. It's up to your policy, not OSHA intent.
Before they actually start doing the work, that they've done all the lockouts. Just because we're going to be liable if something happens.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a point man to make sure they're doing their job. Just to make sure they're keeping the policy in place.
If the contractor gets hurt, your company is not liable for that.
No, that's the wrong word. Not liable, but it'll show up on reports.
On your accident reports.
It'll show up
To your
as
corporation.
our corporate.
Yeah.
Any contractor incident gets notified up top right away, just like it was an employee. It doesn't go on our OSHA, but it's handled.
I've seen people that I've seen companies that have mistakenly done that, but they're like contractors.
Yeah.
Injuries on their own 300.
And what you do a lot of trainings, right, for safety?
Actually, I'm just starting
Okay.
in training because I was working for another company. I got laid off 2 months ago, so I just start forming.
Okay. And then you're working.
I sort of work for him. I have my own company.
Okay.
And I've done training and assessments before.
What do you think the biggest challenge for your clients is when you're educating them, when you're training them?
The biggest challenge is actually in machining when to actually do lockout.
When to apply it?
Yeah, when to apply it when you're machining a part and changing out parts, and it's very, and when to use the interlock on like NEC.
Right.
You know, it's,
One of the things that I've had problems with when I've had working for my other contractor one is actually people putting the locks on and taking them off. Had lots of times people walking away,
Leaving them on?
You know, when you get a lot of movement, and then you don't know. You know, we're using lock boxes, and we've had to end up cutting locks off.
Right.
After we were sure that they were gone and all that, we
Tried to
took a
contact
proper
them, yeah.
procedure.
Yeah.
I've had a lot. That was a very big problem.
Right.
I've had.
Especially when you get a lot of contractors involved.
Yep.
Then you have a lot of locks with potential to not be removed, preventing you from starting your machine back up.
You know, you would think it wouldn't happen, but you get that people movement going and they forget, and it's hard to track them down. What I've always asked is on the tag that they put their cell number on there,
Yeah.
so then we can actually get a hold of them before they even leave the site.
That's a good idea. Everybody's got a cell.
And the
We'll
other
contact
thing
them right
too
away.
that people are starting to do, which I wish everybody was put the picture. You can put your picture on your
Right.
on either your lock
Or the
on,
tag is
on the
cheaper,
tag,
yeah.
and you can actually identify that person. He's still around there
Yeah.
by face.
Yeah.
You may not.
Master Lock sells that option too. Tags with pictures on them. So what I would like to do is pick 3 people and share some stories that we can benefit from. And just like this video, seeing the real world and hearing real world stories, you're going to learn a lot from. So does anybody want to volunteer before I pick randomly? Yeah, I got a good story that we can learn from. Do you have any lockout clients that have experienced problems with lockout?
We had some machine guarding incidents, some of our clients.
And when it's machine guarding incident, what do they call it before you get the machine guard? They call it a lockout problem, right?
Yeah.
Because you got injured on the machine that was active,
We had a,
and until you get a new machine guard, it's a lockout problem.
yeah,
Yep.
that's true. Yeah, we had a client, and it was a young guy, he's early 20s, and he put his hand in there, and it was just, I guess it was probably like about that big. And
Like,
now
yeah.
he has, I know they can reconstruct it, but it's not going to be to its full potential.
This is two nip point or a nip point between 2 rollers.
Yeah, it just closes like that.
Okay.
And it's his right hand is on the hand too, so it's never going to be to its full potential.
Right.
And he's early 20s.
Was he doing service on it or just using the machine?
He was using the machine.
Okay.
There's supposed to be a machine guard. They took the machine from a different area of the plant, and there was a guard that goes with it, but no one ever said anything that this guard goes on here.
Oh, okay.
So,
And just for clarification, when there's an accident like that, OSHA won't come in and say, well, your machine guarding is lax, because that's liability of saying when it is properly guarded, it's not. They'll say you should have locked it out before you put your hand in harm's way.
mhm.
And until you have adequate guarding to protect yourself to do your day-to-day job like that, then you have to lock it out every time you put your hand in the moving areas of the equipment. Every time. No exceptions. that would get pretty costly in the production if he had to lock it out every time he reached his hand or.
Yeah, and he had no reason to put his hand in there.
No reason?
No.
Okay, that's another training probably been helpful.
Yeah, and then now with the work comp mod and all that stuff, I mean, they'll probably be paying this off for years now because they'll have surgeries and then physical therapy and all that stuff. So.
Interesting perspective from the insurance company industry. What about the master lock employees? I know you guys have heard at least stories of lockout tagout accidents that have occurred. What are some recent ones that